All right, Matt 2 gang, welcome back to another exciting video to get us set up for our folding table project and utilizing the CNC machine for this specific project. So we are looking at Partworks at the moment, and what we need to do first is create a new file. In order to do that, once you have logged in or got into Partworks, you may have to use the password and the license code and username found on the laptops, or it may already have you logged in. It kind of just depends on how it was set up when you began. So we're going to go ahead and hit create new file when we open up Partworks. What that does is it's going to open up job setup. Now, a few things we want to talk about when it comes to our job setup. I'm going to skip the width and the height for right now because we will need to discuss this based off what part we're going to machine first. Looking at material thickness and the Z0, okay? First off, we're always going to take the router bit to the top of the board, not the bottom of the board. So that red dot should be at the top, like it is right now. The thickness of our material comes in at 0.875, which is 7/8. So we're going to go ahead and type that number in. That is what the board should be when it goes on the CNC machine. You're not doing any planing, no joint. Well, you will do some joining, but no planing prior to utilizing the CNC machine. In order to set up our 0, our XY origin, that's going to be the bottom left corner, just like we did in map 1. Make sure that you do not select the box that says, or check the box that says use origin offset. This will really mess up the machine and your project if you accidentally click that. So make sure that you do not select that box. And going down to units, obviously it should be in inches. All right, now let's get into the nitty gritty of our project here, because depending on how you or what you decide to cut first or set up on Partworks first, really depends on the job set, or the job setup will be dependent on that. So first thing is width and height, X and Y here. X is always going to be the horizontal direction on your laptop screen. So think about your boards. They're always going to be running left to right, the length of them. So in this program, width is truly means length. Height is going to be equal to the width of your board up and down. So most of the lumber that we get in the shop is going to give us about 5 inches of material. And if you're doing the math, that probably gives you the chance to do 2 pieces per board width-wise. Okay, so looking at your parts list is probably around 1 3/4 for the width of the legs and the stretchers and things of that nature. So you can kind of get an idea as to how much material you will have available. So I'm going to go ahead and type in 5. Based off of your boards that you and your group selected, though, this might change a little bit. So I have 5 placed in there. Now with the width, which again is really equal to the length of your part or length of your board, we're going to take the measurement of the length of the part plus 2 inches. That gives us an inch on either side. Oops. An inch on the left, an inch on the right. So we're going to go ahead and looking at the legs, we know that by the default length is 21 inches. You may have changed this with your group depending on what you decide to do, if you want to make it taller or not. So I know my example one, though, is 21 inches. So I'm going to add 2 inches, which is going to make that 23 inches. Okay. After I have everything set up in the job setup, I'm going to click OK. This gives me a new option or a new menu of options. You probably remember seeing this in map 1. Hopefully you do. Our canvas here, our workspace is set up. The white canvas area, this is our board that's going to go on the CNC machine. So our drawing needs to be placed in here. So I'm going to go up to under File Operations. The 4th icon in is called Import Vectors from a File. And what this icon allows me to do is it allows me to bring in that DXF file from Onshape. So if I click on that, that DXF file was downloaded to our downloads. So you'll see it's the last thing that was in the downloads. We're going to go ahead and open that and click on it, hit open. Now when I open mine, you'll notice that there's 2 different parts here, right? There's one for the leg and there's one for the stretcher. And because we have our job set up for the leg specifically, we're going to go ahead and just delete the stretcher for right now. So selecting everything can be done just by drawing a box around it with your cursor. And I want to move this item into my white canvas space here. So I'm just going to go ahead under Align Objects, click Center and Material. Now I do want to get a second one in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm first going to join all the outside lines of my leg or my object here together. To do that, I'm going to hold down Shift. I'm going to select one of the lines that are connecting, or we want to be connecting to that previous line there. And I'm going to go under Edit Vectors, and I'm going to click Join Vectors with a Smooth Curve. When I do that, you might notice that the dashed line kind of moves a little bit. All that did was it joined it together, so it's all one right now. So I'm going to continue to do that all the way around. You can't select all of the lines at one time. It will not allow you to join it all at one shot because the computer doesn't understand what ends of the line segments should be connecting to each other. So you kind of have to do it one at a time now. So once you have that done though, you'll see that it's all highlighted as one shot. I didn't have to highlight the whole thing. I just clicked on one part of it. It was all selected. So that's great. You do not need to do that for your circles. They will already be one segment because it is a circle. But when we have objects that are weird drawings like we have here for the outside perimeter of the leg, that does have to be joined together. So now that I have that done, I'm going to go ahead and select the whole thing again. So it selects the outside line or edge. It also selects my circles. And I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste. And what this will allow me to do is it'll create a second leg for me to add to this white canvas area here. And because I want both of them in my workspace, I'm just going to go ahead and highlight them and go under Align Objects and Center and Material one more time. So what I'm looking for when I have both of my objects on this workspace is I need to have a little bit of room on the outside edge, a little bit of room on the inside, and I definitely want to make sure it's centered left and right. So that way I have room for my screws that are going to hold the board down to the CNC table. So right now I think I could go ahead and actually move one board or one cutout closer to the other. And to give myself a little bit more room around the outside edge, I'm going to recenter that in material there. So that's probably good where it is. If I wanted to, I could move these in a little bit closer together, but I feel pretty confident with what I have going on here at the moment. So that's how we get set up with the job setup. That's the only thing we have to do under the drawing as far as editing and making sure that lines are connected. After this, it's a matter of creating a toolpath, which you're going to see in the next video. If you have any questions so far, whether it was dealing with Onshape and exporting your drawing as a DXF or getting set up in Partworks, feel free to go back and watch these videos again or seek me out in class or ask your classmates as well for some assistance. Okay? Looking forward to seeing your progress as you get going here.